deck chair, rugs, and sun umbrellas on the promenade deck, generally wrong as to wind and sun till corrected by one of the ship's officers, and in fetching and carrying books and magazines and work bags at Miss Meredith's bidding. Like most women of large means and no ambitions, Lady Mary was an accomplished needlewoman, deeply interested in every revival of old art and pictorial embroidery. Her latest task was a panel for a screen, a landscape of Dutch formality, with a row of poplars in a laborious raised stitch, every tree requiring months of patient toil. The panel, closely veiled in tissue paper, was stretched on a frame, and to establish this conveniently for Lady Mary's labour was a work of time. It gave the cousin and maid and footman something to do every morning, either on the open deck or in the ladies' drawing room, and to re-establish it in her ladyship's cabin after luncheon. Lady Mary had acknowledged to 48 for the last 3 years, but was believed from the evidence of history to be older. She had been 17 years a widow, and was still handsome enough to bring no shame upon handsome clothes. Dress was a subject to which she gave serious thought, and she considered herself successful. She loved bright colour, in her houses and in her gowns. "I had rather be garish than dull," she told people. That great sorrow, the unutterable grief of 6 years ago, had spread so dark a pall over the life of the heart, that she had been forced to take pleasure in externals. "I have only things to interest me," she said. "I am always bored, but I make a good fight against boredom." She was a member of the Dante Society, and took a keen delight in their proceedings, and read a little Dante every day as piously as her Bible. She took Daisy Meredith to all the best concerts of the season, to hear all the old favourites, and all the new prodigies on piano or fiddle. "It is good for you, if it sometimes bores me," she said. So it will be seen that Daisy Meredith did not eat the bread of tears, albeit no lover had come a-wooing. The double cabin that Daisy shared with Margot, the devoted Provençal maid, was near the stern. Lady Mary's neighbours on one side were a colonel and his wife, and on the other side there was a 2-berth cabin occupied by a young lady from Calcutta with her maid, a young lady who was too ill or too unhappy to appear in public, and whom Lady Mary had not seen. She had encountered the maid several times in the corridor, a middle-aged woman, sour-visaged and severe. "I'm afraid your young lady is very ill," she said to the maid one morning. "I heard her sobbing and moaning last night." The woman pinched her lips, and answered curtly, "Hysterical." She brushed past Lady Mary and disappeared in the cabin. What a churlish person to have charge of a sick girl, thought Lady Mary, full of pity for the distressed fellow creature whose low moaning, broken now and then by a suppressed sob, had kept her awake between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. They were in the stifling heat of the Red Sea, and every porthole was open, and sounds were audible from cabin to cabin. The moaning sound was in the hot heavy air when Lady Mary fell asleep, and she heard it again when she awoke at 6 o'clock. After that there was only silence in the girls' cabin, and no sound of speech all the morning, though Lady Mary could hear the door opening and shutting, the maid going in and out, the clinking of cup and spoon when the girl was taking her breakfast. No speech. She thought much of this solitary girl after her encounter with the cross-grained attendant. Girls are not hysterical for nothing. The moaning and sobbing in the silent night hours could only mean mental distress. What was the sorrow that watched with her in those dreary night hours? Was it grief at being parted from a lover? Or mourning for some near and dear one lately lost? Father, mother, sister, brother? And to be solitary in her sorrow, with no one near her but her hard-featured, unmannerly maid. Lady Mary's heart went out to this unknown girl in her loneliness, a heart full of pity and yearning. "I must do something," she thought. "I can't lie here night after night like a log while that girl hugs her sorrow. Surely sympathy, soothing words from a motherly woman might bring her some little comfort." She had said no word about the lonely girl to Daisy, who was all kindness for her fellow creatures, nor to her maid Margot, whose exuberant southern nature would have been quick to pity, eager to console, if it were only by offering to retrim a hat, or devise something new in hairdressing. Lady Mary felt that those secrets of the night season, the sorrow with which proximity had made her acquainted, were not to be told to the first comer. Something she felt she must do. And one sultry breathless day, when the maid had gone to her dinner, Lady Mary knocked gently at the door of the next cabin. A fretful voice answered quickly, "Come in," and then, as the fine maid